Shalom Aleichem to everybody. Nice to see you. Nice to hear from you. And here we have, I mentioned, Pesach is on our mind. Let's see, less than 2 weeks to Pesach. Oh, that's really a bit, we got people for panicking. But just take it slow, take it easy, and try to enjoy the great mitzvahs of getting ready for Pesach. It's a big mitzvah. We get a lot of reward for all this work that we do to prepare for Pesach. Our rabbis tell us the more that we have to put into it, the more we get out of it, the more reward we get, the more if we're being very careful to make sure Pesach is the right way in our house. That's the way it's supposed to be. And we get rid of all the chametz, and we have the house ready for the great holiday. The more we work and toil, and the more we able to get more reward from Hashem. So let's keep a smile on, and do all the hard stuff with a smile, and that'll make it much easier. Tonight we want to talk about the name of our topic is one dot. What's the words over here? One dot turns matzah into chametz. One dot turns matzah into chametz. There's a very deep type of thought I want to bring out tonight in these words. A literal translation, a little explanation, is that the word matzah and chametz are the same letters. You have a mem and a tzaddik, and the difference is a hey and the ches. Hey and the ches are very similar letters. They come out from the same part of our mouth, from the deep part of our throat, hey and ches. And written, they're just about exactly the same. The only difference is they both have a roof on top, they both have opening on the bottom, and they both have 2 sticks on the side, ches and the hey. Right on the top you have the roof, and you have 2 coming down, open at the bottom. The whole difference is that, maybe we'll call it 2 legs, maybe that's best, than 2 sticks, 2 legs on the bottom of a hay, bottom of a ches. A hay, 1 leg does not go totally up to the roof. There's an opening between that leg and the roof of the hay. Ches, both legs reach the top of the letter. So the only difference is that little bit, that little dot that separates one of the legs from the roof makes it a hay. Ches does not has that dot connecting. The connecting dot makes it into a ches. And the fact that the hay is missing that dot makes it into a hay. So we say that 1 dot turns matzah into chametz. The words matzah and chametz is governed by 1 dot. The 1 dot that connects one of the legs to the roof of the letter makes it into a ches. If you take away that little dot, it makes it into a hay. So this is very significant, and I want to dwell on this idea because the one of the pillars and the main ideas of Judaism lies in this difference that we're talking about. That what lies over here is that every little bit that we do could make a difference. It can make from evil into goodness, the goodness into evil. Just a little dot, just a little bit can change things totally around. Matzah represents goodness. Chametz represents evil. We've discussed it in past years. Maybe next week we'll talk about a little bit more to get the idea of why it is that way. But that's the fact, that matzah represents goodness and chametz represents evil. And what we're saying over here is that evil can be turned into goodness with a dot, and goodness can be turned to evil with a dot. Just a little bit. And the whole idea turns this around. It's become something different totally. And I want to give a bunch of examples for that that we have to realize that some people say, well, what's the difference? If I do it like this, I do it like that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. What's the difference? Well, of course, a person would say medication, they have to take a certain pill for their health, and they'll say, well, if I take 2 pills, it makes a difference. I take 1 pill, it's 1 little pill, what's the difference? It's not going to have an effect upon me. Of course, it can make a difference, life and death, if a person takes extra medication, even though it might seem very insignificant, and it's just a small little bit, but it could make a very big difference in a person's life. And everybody keep out of the reach of children. A child gets hold of medication, even would take 1 pill, could have a very bad effect on a person. So here, we want to give some examples to show how this is so relevant in our life. In Judaism, 1 dot, 1 little bit can make chametz evil into goodness and goodness into evil. We're talking about a penny. Now, what's a penny? I think some people want to say we should get rid of the penny because it doesn't have any significance anymore, almost a penny. Well, it comes to the halacha, according to keeping the laws of the Torah. We're not allowed to steal. What is the amount you're not allowed to steal? Is it $100? Is it $50? $1? How much do we have to be careful not to steal from somebody else? Well, we're told we're not allowed to steal anything, even less than a penny. A penny's worth for something. That some people are not careful about stealing. Me stealing, God forbid, I wouldn't steal. Well, sometimes people go into the store and they go to the fruit counter and they take a grape and put it in their mouth, taste it, eat some of it. That's stealing. So you didn't pay for it, you're allowed to do that. And stealing is not only taking something from somebody else, doing a damage to somebody, damaging them is also in the category of stealing. Do not steal, the Torah says, even do not damage somebody else's property, even though you're not gaining from it. Stealing means you took something for yourself. Damaging means you didn't take it for yourself, you just did something taking away from the other person. The shavius, the value of somebody's object and putting down the value in any way, that's called stealing. And you are sometimes not careful how you park your car, and you might scratch the other person's car. That's called stealing. Even if you didn't take it for yourself, but you did damage. And maybe it's even very, very small, maybe it's a small scratch. But this is something which the Torah forbids us to do. We have to be very careful when we park, or we go through cars that are next to each other, or whatever the problem is of getting through someplace, squeezing through. We have to make sure that we don't do any damage on the way to a person's property, whether it's his car or anything else, or it's a fence or whatever it might be. So, it's just a little bit, a little scratch, what's the difference? No, we can't do it. This is something that we'd be very careful. And this makes matzah into chametz. Just a little bit makes it's an evil act that we're doing by decreasing the other person's property, even by even mashu, just by a little bit. And we also have to think about damaging people's time, stealing time from people. Sometimes we're talking about a car, and we can maybe sometimes park with a very sloppily and take up 2 spaces instead of 1 space. And somebody coming along, they could have parked their car there, but since you did a sloppy job parking, they can't fit in. They have to slip around and look for a different parking space, which could upset them. Might be late for an appointment. We don't know what kind of consequence it might have, but we have to think about the other person when we're parking a car to make sure that we do it the right way and not to damage or steal people, time from people. That would, because of our sloppiness, they're suffering from it. And it's something very, very relevant. And this is, even though it might be a few inches, the difference, those few inches seem very insignificant, but they might be very significant because maybe that makes a difference if the person could fit in or not fit in, or waste the next half hour looking for a parking space. So that would be a good example of what we're saying now, of damaging or stealing that people overlook and don't give any really attention to, but it should be, because other people's property, we have to look at it like it's holy. Something holy. So their property is something that we have to be very careful about. Some other examples on the other side of the coin. That's as far as chametz is concerned. Evil. How about matzah? Something goodness to it. Well, how about if we give charity? How much money is considered charity? Well, if you give a penny, even if you give a nickel, a dime, you have a pushka, you have a tzedakah box, a charity box, and you put a dime in, sometimes a nickel in, or even a penny in. That's considered to give charity. And you give to a poor person even a small amount of money, because he goes on collecting, and everybody's small amount adds it to up to a big amount. But if we're part of that, we gave even a smaller. Of course, the more we give, the better. Naturally, we don't want to minimize. Well, I gave it's enough. I gave a dime, so it's a mitzvah. And we have to give money to what we can afford and make it good for the other person as much as possible. But every little bit we give for tzedakah, for charity, is a big mitzvah. Person will get greatly rewarded for every little bit of charity that he gives. And if you give time, also time for charity, give time to do chesed, you do kindness. Somebody needs some help with something, and you offer your time to help the person out. Sometimes they have to talk to somebody, get something off their chest to feel good about. They have to talk to somebody, and you just to listen to a person and give your time for them. That is considered a great mitzvah. And it changes over your free time, which is not a mitzvah, into time which becomes a mitzvah, since you did something good for somebody else during that time. So whatever you could do for the other person, giving them your help, your time, that's called charity, and it makes even a small 1 minute, sometimes of you give a person a minute for them to unload something of their thoughts to you, or they need a chizuk. We just said this, we might talk to chazak, you give them somebody, you give them a compliment. You give a compliment to somebody, and sometimes it goes a long way. You make a person feel good. You make their day. You give them a compliment, or you make them feel good for a few minutes, for a minute. It's a mitzvah. Make a person feel good. Give them the right kind of smile to somebody. Sometimes you say good morning to someone with a smile, without a smile. It makes a difference. A lot of people enjoy getting a good morning with a smile much more than without a smile, and thank you with a smile, and so on. So same things that seem insignificant, we're making chametz into matzah. We're making something that seems to be very unimportant, and we can make it into something as far as our service to Hashem is concerned, as far as our serving Hashem in the way that we want God to be proud of us, what we're in our actions. The smallest little thing can give a person a lot of great reward. Let's take chametz itself, chametz and matzah. What is chametz? Chametz, we're not allowed to eat chametz, we're not allowed to own chametz during Pesach, not only even owning it, we have to get rid of it. Which this is a time I'll take good opportunity to remind everybody that if we should sell our chametz to a non-Jew, because we're not allowed to own chametz. If you have any even type of whiskey or beer, or the things that are made from grain, alcohol, and even things with vinegar, all types of non-Passover products, we're not allowed to own, even to be in our possession. Either we have to get rid of it, destroy it, throw it out, or we have the option to sell it to a non-Jew who will own it till after Pesach, then we'll buy it back from him. But as long as it's not in our possession, so we're not going against the Torah's law of owning chametz. So, but this is something that's very important. So, all those who like to have the chametz sold by Oorah, I think Rabbi Biderman has information we'll probably give over to let us know about it, and we'll your agent to sell your chametz to a non-Jew. So, what is chametz? Chametz is the fermentation of 5 types of grains that are considered chametz if we have them in our property, in our possession. And 5 grains are either it's wheat or barley or spelt and rye and what's the 5th one again? So all these 5 grains are considered chametz.
Did Rabbi Mintz say barley?
I think I said barley, I think.
Wheat, barley, spelt, rye, and oats.
Oats, I left out oats, right. So those 5 grains are considered chametz if water comes in contact with them and left for 18 minutes. So that the process of the chametz that it is happening when water comes together with these 5 flours made from flour made from these type of these 5 grains, and that's called chametz. Chametz means actually fermentation or sour. It ferments. Water with flour ferments, and that fermentation is forbidden for us to eat on Pesach or to own on Pesach. So naturally, bread is made with usually wheat flour or rye, and that's real chametz. It rises and it ferments. Rising is fermentation. It's a friendly bacteria. Of course, not friendly on Pesach. It's not friendly because we're not allowed to have it. So, 18 minutes. If you go to a matzah bakery, every 18 minutes they close down and clean the machines and get rid of everything from before and start from over again. Everything cleaned out, because you can't, anything that was left there for 18 minutes ferments and it becomes chametz. If you wait 1 minute more than 18 minutes, it's chametz. It's 1 minute, even half a minute, even a quarter of a minute. 18 minutes is the cutoff. If you have everything, water contact of the flour, it must be thrown out before Pesach. You can't use it. And the person will say, well, what's a few seconds? What's the difference? A half a minute to make it? Yes, that is turning that dot that's turning matzah into chametz. That is the cutoff. And even though it's insignificant, but it's very significant. And that's a very, very good example of what we're talking about. And a person who eats non-kosher food, so say, well, what do I have a French fry? Went at McDonald's, I got a French fry. So one French fry, what's the difference? Well, French fry depends how it was fried. It was fried with non-kosher fat that is forbidden 100% according to Torah law. A person will say, well, what's one French fry? It's not significant. Well, it may be not be significant to your stomach, but as far as Torah is concerned, Torah law, it's very significant. And even if you'll say, ask the guy, what are you fried in? He's, pure vegetable oil. Well, that's not going to help too much, because then the same fryer that they make the French fries in vegetable oil, they might make other types of food in lard and in non-kosher oil, and it goes into the pores of the metal fryers that you're using, and it comes out from heat, goes in, comes out, and it makes the potato that you're eating, French fry, it makes it forbidden to eat. So they say, wow, just how much of a little bit went into the French fry, and so how much was there? Makes a difference. It's very little, but comes to Torah law, it's very significant. You have to be careful not to go to the non-kosher place to eat, because even though you're not eating non-kosher food, mainly that's on the menu, but it has in the kitchen that they're using non-kosher pots and pans and silverware and things that are making the food non-kosher. And therefore, if you want to keep kosher, you have to make sure it's a very strict mashgacha of people watching to make sure that everything is on the up and up 100%. So here, another idea of one dot, one little bit of a non-kosher fat can make a whole pot of soup or whatever food we're talking about non-kosher, because a little bit gives a little bit of taste into what we're eating, and non-kosher taste is forbidden. So it's another idea. Comes to speech, talking. One word can make a big difference. Yes or no, right? Somebody speaking, gossiping, and about somebody else, and you might say to the person, "What do you think about him? Do you think he's a good guy or not? He's a good guy? No. No. Just the no is saying he's not a good guy. You think he's a good guy? No. What's one word could make a difference? Just that one word is putting that person down. He's saying that he's not a good guy. And that is Lashon Hara, pure Lashon, pure gossip for him to do. Not only that, even if without a word, with a sound, you're going to put somebody down. You can say, "What do you think about him?" Oh, just, oh. What do you think about him? Oh, oh, you say that negative, oh. Says, "Oh, I know what you think about him already." He's putting him down. The apam horgush, you can kill a person with a grunt, with a small sound of negative kind of sound coming from you. And even with expression of a face, you think about him, you just make your facial expression or turn your head a certain way. It's showing your distaste for the person. What do you think about him? They get the story just from your expression on your face or your physical reaction, how you moved yourself, you moved your head, whatever, or your lips or whatever. So how bad can it be? It's like one dot. One dot makes matzah into chametz. And the same way in the positive way. You could say the nice things about somebody else, saying yes instead of no. He's a good guy, yes. One yes to make him a person, a whole different, very good impression about him. It could be a whole crowd of people there. One yes about a person could make the person very acceptable to other crowd of people. So as Jewish people, we have to realize that we have to make sure that our dots, our small reactions, our small words, our small amounts of time, that they're very, very carefully put forth to people, because you give the wrong impression to people, and it can make a big difference in people's lives. And the same way it comes to Shabbos, keeping the laws of Shabbos. I don't know how many people listen to keep Shabbos now, but I hope they'll keep Shabbos very soon. This Shabbos, I hope they'll keep Shabbos, but putting on the light Shabbos, putting on the switch is desecrating Shabbos. Because, of course, if it depends what type of bulb it is, if it's the type of bulb that the inside of it gets red hot, that's called fire. Even though it's not a fire, in what we considered fire, but according to the laws of Shabbos, if you have a metal that becomes red hot, that's considered fire. The old type of bulbs, that's the way they work, that they get very hot. And of course, different machines that we operate with electricity. It can be considered fire. It makes sparks. We put on make a circuit. It makes a spark, and we turn on the light. So put the switch of the light. What is that? It's nothing. Let's think to ourselves. Putting on a light, putting off a light. That's like less than a second. Yes, but that's one of the dots we're talking about. Just one little dot makes chametz into matzah and makes matzah into chametz. The hay becomes a ches, and the ches becomes a hay. If we put it in, we take it out, that dot, put in the dot, it becomes chametz, bad. If we take it out, it becomes good, it becomes matzah. Same letters, everything the same, except that little dot made a big difference in the chametz and the matzah, like we said in the beginning. And this is one of the things we should think about in Pesach, as a person keeping Pesach. Hopefully we keep it the way we should. But mainly when we think about Pesach, we think of chametz and matzah. That's the main thing that goes in our mind, chametz and matzah on Pesach. When we think about chametz and matzah, we just think about it's only a dot, difference between chametz and matzah, one little dot. Chametz and matzah, 1/2 a minute waiting before we baked the matzah in the oven. It stood 1/2 a minute later, 1/4 of a minute later, a few seconds later, it makes it in the chametz. It's not usable. It's into the garbage. We can't use it for Pesach. Only a few seconds, 18 minutes plus 5 seconds. Too bad. It became chametz. And that's how we look at all of our actions, and the way we speak, and the way we think, the way we talk to people. And we have to think to ourselves, not the kamus, how much we speak, how much we talk, and how much we do, but what are the consequences of what we do? And the consequence could be very little action involved, just a dot, but it can make a very big difference to many people and to ourselves as far as serving Hashem. So this is one of the things that we should think about on Pesach, to check our actions to see if we have any of these dots that have to be added or subtracted to our life, and maybe come to other people, dealing with them, scratching their cars or causing waste of time for them. Was mentioned these things before, or actions that we're doing between ourselves and Hashem. Are we dotting? Are we doing something very insignificant, but it's not according to Torah law? Are we doing good things with our dots and bad things with our dots? Not just for the big things. Some people look for the big things. That's what we have to worry about. The small things, that's a difference. Yes, it's a difference. That's what makes a Jew into a Jew. That everything means something significant. The way we talk, and the way we walk, and the way we think, and the way we discuss with other people, we deal with other people. Every little bit counts. We want to try our best. Of course, we're not angels. We can't be perfect. And naturally, it takes time for us to perfect ourselves. But we want to think about on Pesach, how can we perfect ourselves? How can we make chametz into matzah? And how we be careful not to make matzah into chametz with those little things, with those little dots. And if we think about those terms on Pesach, we've gone a long way towards serving Hashem and perfecting ourselves. So I gave a few examples. I had other things written here also, but mainly we can all think to ourselves the dots in our life that make a difference to us and to others.